Hey guys, Thomas Asula Jr. here, aka Mustache Tom, and before I even begin my rant slash review of this movie, I do have a few updates. So let me get through these first. First and foremost, after this, the next thing that I'll probably be up and reviewing is Straight Outta Compton. I'll probably have to see it either later today or tomorrow. I don't know which, but I might be able to have a review up by Tuesday, but that's not necessarily a guarantee. Um, what else is going up is another classic game that involves dinosaurs, and I did post that on my Facebook, and I might even post a little hint on my Twitter as well, which I'll leave the link in the description. Um, and lastly, I don't know how many people are following me or watch the videos for Digimon Masters, but I might, and this is a very long stretch, I might start doing Let's Plays of that, but I'd like to get some comments on whether or not people want to continue seeing me doing that, making a fool of myself in a game I absolutely despise, but um, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a lot of work to get to the next point. So I don't know if that's going to be a thing or not. But without further ado, let's get right into Fantastic Four. And the thing about this movie is, I'm not too upset about this as compared to other reviewers who completely bash this movie in. And I'm not saying the movie's great by any means. It's below average, but I can't say it's the worst superhero movie out there. I mean, it did come out this year, so I can see why people are uh, putting it so low. But yeah, I mean, the beginning of the movie focuses on Reed's and Ben's childhood. They grow up together. And Reed's building this thing to go into another dimension, and the kids are making fun of him. And then he gets the school project, and then he shows it off, and then he gets disqualified or whatever. And then this guy, Human Torch's dad, comes in and says that he wants him to work for this place, and then they go over there and they start working on this dimensional portal thing. They take their sweet time with it, and I do think that is one of the issues with this movie. I mean, there are quite a few, so that is one of the points I do want to bring up. I think it did take a little bit too long for them to build this thing, even though it was through a montage. But there's just like some talking parts, and those parts were interesting. And it did feel like there were parts that were building up that didn't really continue or grow anywhere. But next up was they go into this machine as soon as it's up, and then they go on the planet, and then they see this thing, this weird green substance, and they don't know what it is, and they want to check it out, and then the place starts going haywire. So they try to escape, and then Doctor Doom gets, or I should say Victor gets left behind. And I do think that that part of it was one of the bigger issues for me personally, because I didn't feel like Victor had a lot of time in this movie. I mean, granted, I don't recall if the original movie had Victor in it for long. I mean, it kept cutting back to him in the movie, if I do remember correctly. And the thing about that movie is that they went right into it. It's like we're going to space, and then they get their powers, and the rest of the movie is them messing around and trying to figure stuff out. And I can get that this movie was trying to do something different, but I do think that they should have brought Victor back with them. I think that was one of the problems, is that we didn't get to see Victor through like most of the movie. I mean, you see him a little bit in the beginning, and then he comes all the way back at the end, and you really don't understand what he's talking about almost. I mean, he's talking about all the stuff about the plant, his planet, and it being his, and you don't really know what he's talking about because there's just not, you just don't see him, so you don't know. It's not shown to us what he's actually going through that makes him feel like this place is so much better than Earth or whatever. Um, and then another immediate problem I found with this movie is when Reed Richards escapes from the facility that they're all being held in. I think what that did, as long as with the 1 year time jump, instead of showing their powers off a little bit more, or more so them using their powers together as a unit, I think would have been a better way to showcase instead of doing a 1 year jump. And as well as the whole Reed Richards going away thing, I felt like that was a completely unnecessary plot device for them to almost do something completely different. It's almost as if this is a complete sidetrack from the movie. I mean, they spend all this time looking for him now instead of, and they're not, Susan's at the computer doing her thing. You get these quick glimpses of what the Human Torch and the Thing are doing. Like you get to see them on computer screens instead of actually seeing them where they're actually at in the action, which I think would have been better. And I think it would have been as well better is if it wasn't, Reed trying to escape. I think what this movie should have done instead is have Victor actually come out with them and have Victor be the one to escape. I think that would have made a lot more sense. Um, have Victor be the one actually doing bad things so that they're working together they're doing all these smaller tasks together. Uh, you get to actually see what they're doing, and then you get these glimpses back at Victor and what he's doing, and he's doing all this bad stuff on Earth. I think that would have helped this movie with the whole aspect of the part. I mean, don't get me wrong, when Victor does come back, it is a really good scene. I mean, probably the best scene in the movie when he comes back and he's just killing everybody in the facility. That's part of the movie, most likely, I think, for a lot of people. I mean, I don't think a lot of people expected that part, so there are some good elements here, but it just doesn't shine through the entire movie, unfortunately. Um, so, with that being said, Victor's finally back, and then, like, he he goes through the portal again or something because he wants to drag the Earth through the other dimension, and then it's up to the Fantastic Four to sort of work together for the first time and beat Doom. Like that's one of the bigger issues. Is like we have this guy that's so powerful, and we have a team that just came together for the first time in the entire movie. You don't see them work together in any other aspect, so it's almost questionable of how they even beat Doom. I mean, it almost doesn't even make any sense. Even though it does happen, I mean, it just doesn't fit. Um, you know, and you don't really get to see that much more of Doom, so it is a double unfortunate sort of event. So it is a hard movie to score. I would probably have to give it either 3 or 4 out of 10. Like, oh, it's almost, I would put it a little bit closer to a 4, like a solid low 4. Um, and that's still not that great, by the way. So, like again, I said, I'm not too mad or upset about this movie. I kind of expected it to be not as good as the original, and I mean, even the original has some issues with it. But I mean, it is what it is. So, with that being said, I think that's the end of this review. So, please like, comment, and subscribe. It will really help my channel out so I can do even more stuff in the future. And with that being said, this has been Thomas Asula Jr., aka Mustache Tom, and I'll see you guys next time.